Okay, now let's complete the add schedule section. So in the add schedule page, we have the same drop down buttons and text fields because to add a schedule, we need a bus object, we need a route object, and we will select those objects from these two drop down buttons. We need to set a ticket price, we need to set some discount and processing fee. And then we need to actually add a departure time because, as you can remember, when we have our schedule list, then these are the schedule informations. So a schedule information must have a bus information, a route information, ticket price, the departure time, the total number of seats. So all this information admin now have to provide. So these two drop-down fields are currently unselectable because the reason is very simple. Let's jump to this section where I actually define these drop-down buttons. So in the add schedule page, inside the form center list view, and inside this drop-down button from field, we are providing an items, a list that is coming from the provider, so bus list. So this bus list actually is completely empty. That's why we are not able to uh, make this drop down button work. So to do that, to make it work, we need to actually get all the bus and all the routes from the TemDB, and then we will be able to select the bus and routes from the um, drop down buttons. So at in the add schedule page, let me override the did change dependencies function. So did change dependencies, and now I need to call two functions that will fetch all the bus and all the routes from the uh, temporary DB file. For that, we have declared methods inside the dummy data source, and inside the dummy data source we have get all bus and we have get all routes. So we need to complete these methods first, and this is very straightforward. First of all, let me make this function async, and to return all the bus list, all we need to do is return the temdb.table bus. That's all. And we'll do the same for get all routes. So make this function async, and simply I'm returning the temdb dot table route. So now we need to call these functions from the app data provider class. So inside the app data provider class, I am defining two methods. So void get all bus. I'm returning void because I need those bus list to store inside this list. So I'm not returning anything from this function. All the bus that will be coming from the database will be assigned to this bus list and to the route list accordingly. So get all bus, then make it async, then just call the data source function. So data source dot get all bus, that will return a list of bus, and we will assign this list of bus inside the bus list. So bus list will be this, and when this bus list will have new data, all we need to do is to call the notify listeners function so that any widget that is using this bus list can be updated. And we'll make another function, and the name will be get all routes or bus routes, and we'll need to call the get all bus routes, get all routes function, and that list will be the route list. And now notify listeners. And now we need to call these two methods from inside the add bus schedule date change dependencies function. So let us define a new function called or just declare a function, just call the function get data, and now create this function by pressing alt end, create method get data, and make it asynchronous, and just call these two functions. So provider dot of context, so listen false, and provide the provider class, so app data provider, and call the function get all bus. And I'm duplicating this line and calling the another function get all bus routes as well. And you can also put the await function here because all these functions are asynchronous, so this will await. And the problem is the expression has a type of void. So okay, we don't need to put await in this case because these functions are actually returning void, not future. But inside this function we have the synchronous function, and we are using the await keyword here, so we don't need to put await inside this. And also we don't need to make this function asynchronous as well. So now whenever we load this page, this function will be called, but before this function completes its task, the widget will be rebuilt and all the drop down buttons will be rebuilt. And whenever we have the bus list and the route list, we call the notify listener function that will eventually cause these widgets to rebuild once again. And this drop down button font field from here and this one, we wrap these two buttons inside a consumer widget so that we can get a provider object as well. So now if I make a hot restart and come back again to this add schedule page, and now as you can see, I'm able to select the bus and the route as well. And now it's proper time to add a new bus and add a new route. Test those two things that we did in the earlier video so that we can get the newly added bus and routes. So let's go back and go back to the add bus page. Let me add a new bus. So the bus name should be test bus 4, number TB004, total seat 18. So this is added, and a new route as well. So I'm adding a new route that will be Dhaka to say Rajshahi, and the distance, let me put some arbitrary value, so 300. So add route, and let's go to the add schedule page and let's check whether we have our newly added objects in the list. So we have the test bus 4 that we just added, and also we have the new route as well. So those functions are working properly. So now that we can we able to select the buses, maybe this one, the route maybe this one, and let's have the ticket price like 2000, discount maybe 0, processing fee maybe 50. And now we have another options to select, that is a departure time. So we talked about, or we used departure date in the search page. This time we have a departure time. In case of departure date, we have a datetime object declared at the top of the search page, and now we have a time of day object, a nullable time of day object at the top of the state object here, because when user click or admin click the button and select a time, we get a time of day object instead of date time. That's why I declared a time of day object, and whenever admin select any time and click OK, then will have a time of day object that we will assign that selected time to this object. And to show this time picker dialog, we have the function. That means if we click this select departure date, so we have a function select time. And now if I go to the select time function, the method we need to call is show time picker. So in the constructor, we need to pass as a method parameter, we need to pass the context, we need to pass the current time or the initial time, and we need to pass a builder. And that builder actually is a function that returns a widget. We're returning a media query widget, and we are passing some data, and the data will be, we are passing some options that will show a 24-hour format to true. And that's why whenever I am clicking this button and this dialog, this time picker dialog is showing time in 24-hour formats. If you only want time in 12-hour format, then you don't need to actually pass this parameter, or just set it to false. So now when users select any time and press OK, this function will return a time of day object. And if it is not null, because we need to ensure that user or admin hasn't pressed the cancel button. So if it is not null, then we will call the set state. We will assign the new time, selected time, to the time of day object, and this will eventually change the text over here. So if I select any time like 20 and 22:30, that means 10:30 p.m. and click OK. So we have our time. So now the only thing is left is to complete this add schedule button. And for that we have a add schedule, or we have an add schedule method. First of all, we are validating the from field here, and we also need to validate the time of day, as we did for the in the search page for the departure date. So now I am manually checking whether the time of day it is null or not. So if it is null, then show a message and return from this method, and the message should be please select a departure date, and you should put this string as a constant in the constant.dart file. So now if I go back and come to this, okay, let me just press the hot restart or reload button first and go back to the add schedule page and select a bus, select a route, and give the ticket price, the discount, and the processing fee. But I'm not selecting the date, but I'm pressing the add schedule function, and as expected we have this message. Okay, now if I select any time, so I'm selecting some time, and now after pressing the add schedule button, all we need to do is to create a schedule object, and we get the bus object from this drop down field, and we get the route object from this route field, because we already declared that this bus and route object at the top of the class that are nullable. And these are actually the type of these drop down buttons. As you can see here, the drop down button from field value is simply the object. So besides string, we can also attach objects to the drop down buttons as well. So now it's time to add this schedule. To do that, we need to go to the dummy data source class and find the add schedule method, and this is right here. And I think this will be very much similar to add route or add reservation or add bus function. So I'm just copying the previous codes and pasting inside the add schedule function. And now let me do the same stuff all over again. This will be the table schedule, and the object should be the bus schedule, and the return type will be response model, and this should be schedule saved. And now we need to create another method inside the app data provider class. So inside the app data provider class, I'm just copying this function and paste it, changing the name to add route to add schedule, change the object to schedule, so this will be bus schedule, and then call the appropriate function add schedule and just pass the appropriate object. And now in the add schedule page, just call the provider functions. So provider.of context listen false. So app.provider, and then add schedule and pass the bus schedule object, that means this one, and call the then function. And just for formalities, I will check the response status. So if, okay, let me just copy from the add bus page here. So if this one, okay, and then this. So if this, okay, so if the response status is saved, then just show the message and reset the fields. And if admin simply doesn't want to add more schedule, he will simply click this back button and go back to the search page. So I am pressing the hot restart button, so my newly saved bus and route will be gone. So let me just add a new bus first. So for the final time, so bus name test bus 4 TB004 18, sorry, this should be 18, and add bus, and go back to the route page, add route Dhaka to Rajshahi, and the distance will be 200. So add route, and let's go to the add schedule page and add a new schedule by selecting the newly added bus. So add test bus. Maybe I have put the wrong input here. That should be 4, but it's okay, no problem. I'm selecting this. So route should be Dhaka Rajshahi, and the ticket price should be 2500, 0 and 50. And let's just select time here and press schedule, and the schedule saved. And to check whether this schedule is available, let's go to the search page and select the appropriate cities like Rajshahi, and now search. As you can see, this is this very schedule that we just added in our system. So if you go to this, go to select the schedule, go to the seat plan, select the seat, make a reservation, go to the reservation page, and that's it. So everything is going fine as well. And one last thing we need to add in the admin section, and that is the login section. But I'm not going to do that right now because admin login is associated with many things, because the API or the mechanism we'll be using for authenticating an admin that is fully connected with the Spring Boot project. So it will be wise not to complete this thing right now. And I have a news for you, and that is it's actually time to go and build our Spring Boot project. And we will create the whole backend. We'll create the database. We'll create the end REST point, endpoint, REST endpoints, and then we'll come back to this Flutter project once again, and we will create a new data source and replace our dummy data source with the new actual data source. And that time we will actually complete the login section. But we can still go to this login page if I click this login section here. But as you can see, the login page is completely empty. So we will authenticate our admin with an email address or a phone number and a password, and we'll authenticate our admin using the JWT token in Spring Boot. And also in this section we will add some functionalities in both 3 pages: add bus, add route, and add a schedule, so that admin will not be able to add any bus or route or schedules without authentication. So to add a new bus, admin must have to be authenticated first. So after pressing the add button here, or in the route page or in the schedule page, we will first check whether this current user is an admin or not. And if he is an admin, then we will check whether he is logged in or not. If he is logged in, or his login token or access token has not expired, then we will let admin to add bus, route, and schedules. And if the token is expired, then we will redirect our admin to the login page. Then our admin will authenticate by providing the credentials, and if admin successfully logged in, then he will be able to add the bus, routes, and schedule. So this is a milestone for us, because we have made quite a long journey. We have made the search screen. We have made our user to make a reservation. We managed to provide some pages for admin, so that admin can add the bus, route, and schedules as well. And we have done many things, but our Flutter project is not complete yet. So in the next section, in the next video or lecture, we'll talk about Spring Boot, and from that moment and on, we will be creating our Spring Boot backend. And like I said at the very first of this course, you don't need to know anything about Spring Boot, because this course is only requires some prerequisite that you have some knowledge, basic knowledge of Dart, Flutter, and Java. So if you didn't work with Spring Boot, it's completely okay, because I will start Spring Boot from completely from scratch, and I will explain everything, and then you will be able to see how easy it is to create REST endpoints with Spring Boot, as well as to connect that endpoints or backend to any front end like Flutter or React or other framework. So see you in the very next section and next lecture. But before you go to the next lecture, I will request you to take a look at the videos or lectures that we have completed so far. If you have any confusion, you just go through the videos once again, do some homework, do some stuff similar like this. Go online and search your problem, or search similar things that we have done in this project or in the modules. If you want to learn more about any widgets that we have done here or worked with, if you have any questions, or if you have anything to know about routing or any other stuff, you can go to the official documentations. All I need you to do one thing, that before you go to the Spring Boot or the next module, you you got the clear idea about what you have done so far. So if you are done with it, if you think you are flexible and you have got everything that I tried to provide you, then it's time to go to the next module. So see you in the next module. A big thing is waiting for us.